When you think about heavyweight boxing, you probably think of giants, right? We talk about power, reach, sheer size. But today, we're diving into the story of a fighter whose greatest weapon was something you just couldn't measure on a scale. It was his spirit. Okay, let's get into the incredible story of Evander Holyfield. From the very beginning, this was the thing that followed him everywhere. As he was coming up from the gyms in Atlanta all the way to the world stage, that one criticism just stuck to him. He's just not big enough. He can't hang with the real heavyweights. And, for a lot of fighters, that's enough to break them. And that's the real question, isn't it? I mean, how did this man, who was constantly underestimated, constantly counted out, how did he not only compete, but actually dominate the most dangerous division in sports for 2 whole decades? Well, the answer is a masterclass in resilience and pure will. So first, let's look at how he even got this reputation. It all started with a heart that was just bigger than his frame. Holyfield's journey really kicks off in the cruiserweight division, and he didn't just win there. He became the first undisputed king of that entire weight class. I mean, totally dominant. But even then, the skeptics were just like, yeah, but he's a small man who's going to get crushed by the true giants. Then 1990 happens. This is the moment everything changes. Holyfield steps up to face Buster Douglas, the guy who had just pulled off the biggest upset ever by knocking out Mike Tyson. And Holyfield doesn't just win. He knocks Douglas out, becomes the undisputed heavyweight champion, and for a little while at least, he silenced everybody who said he couldn't do it. But being the champion didn't really end the questions. Nope. In fact, it led him straight into one of the most defining rivalries of his whole career, a brutal 3-fight war against the massive Riddick Bowe. And these fights, they became the ultimate test of his courage. And this slide really says it all. You had Riddick Bowe, who was this towering presence at 6'5", that's 196 centimeters, with a huge advantage in reach and weight, a true heavyweight giant. But in the ring, Holyfield somehow neutralized all of that with just pure grit. He turned their fights into these legendary wars of will, standing right in front of him, toe-to-toe, and refusing to give up a single inch. So, after going to war with Bowe, Holyfield's path then leads him to the most feared man on the planet, the invincible Mike Tyson. By 1996, Tyson was on this terrifying comeback tour, and honestly, pretty much everyone saw this fight as the ultimate mismatch. Just look at that number, 25-1. Those were the actual betting odds. People didn't just expect Holyfield to lose. A lot of experts were genuinely afraid for his safety against the kind of destructive power Tyson brought into the ring. But Holyfield played chess, not checkers. He didn't just survive in there, he put on a clinic. He executed a perfect game plan, fighting on the inside, tying Tyson up to kill his power, and just using his incredible conditioning to wear him down. He literally bullied the bully, and in the 11th round, he stopped him. One of the biggest upsets in boxing history. And of course, that victory led to the rematch a year later, a night that will live in sports infamy forever. This wasn't just a boxing match. It was one of the strangest, most shocking events ever put on television. But what tells you everything you need to know about Holyfield's character is how he reacted. After Tyson literally bit a piece of his ear off. In all of that chaos, Holyfield was somehow the calmest guy in the building. His composure and his deep faith just shined right through, cementing his reputation as a guy with unbreakable mental toughness. So finally, when it's all said and done, what is the legacy of the real deal? It's so much bigger than any single fight. It's about a level of resilience and longevity that is it's completely unheard of in the heavyweight division. Think about this number for just a second. 4. In the most brutal division in all of sports, Evander Holyfield climbed the mountain, got knocked off, and then climbed it again and again and again. He reclaimed the heavyweight title 4 separate times across 2 different decades. Nobody else has ever done that. So what was the formula? How'd he do it? Well, it was a mix of things. He had this relentless work ethic, which meant his conditioning was legendary. It let him outlast younger, stronger guys. He was a master of counterpunching, so he could use his opponent's own aggression against them. And his quiet, respectful attitude just gave him this mental clarity to perform under insane amounts of pressure. And that just brings us right back to the beginning, doesn't it? This quote perfectly captures his entire career. Holyfield proved over and over again that the most important muscle in a fight is your heart, and the most important attribute you can have is will. Look, at the end of the day, he retired as one of the most courageous gladiators the sweet science has ever known. His whole career is just this living testament to what can happen when incredible talent is mixed with an unbreakable, indomitable will to just keep going, no matter the odds. So, what's the big takeaway for all of us? Holyfield's story proves that will can absolutely overcome size. And that's a lesson that applies way outside the boxing ring. We all face opponents in life that seem bigger or stronger than us. So his story kind of asks us all a question. When the odds are stacked against you, are you going to listen to the critics? Or are you going to listen to the heart of a champion?